Basically, MDG is a solution where SAP especially created for master data governance, and it also comes up with out-of-box domain-specific master data where you can actually start governing this master data using MDG. So in the last session, we discussed at very high level what is master data. What is master data? Okay, so master data is basically nothing but the data which you use, which actually you create it once in the system, master data. Okay, and you will be using it for a longer duration. Let's say, for example, materials, or else customers, vendors, cost centers, profit centers, or else whatever you create, like a currency or countries or probably equipments, bill of materials. So there are all these, we call it as a master data. So you create once in the system master data, and you will be using this master data for your transactional purposes. Like when you create a sales order, you need to enter the customer number, and you need to enter that material details, the material number. Okay, and so when you create a purchase order, you need to provide your vendor, the supplier details from where you are procuring the data, these objects, and also you need to enter the materials. Okay, so likewise cost centers or profit centers. So you will be you will be mentioning all these master data, or you will be using this master data in your transactional documents. So transactional documents or transactional data is nothing but where you create the data, and the duration of that particular data will be very shorter duration. Let's say you create a sales order. Once the delivery is done and the invoice is completed, paid, then the transactional process is completed, and again you will create another sales order for different customer and use the same materials. So now here what we are discussing as part of this MDG is how we create a master data. So how it is different from creation of this master data in traditional way in SAP versus how does it differ when you create a master data using MDG. Okay, so that is actually the major difference. If you see, assume that this is your SAP system. Okay, so in SAP system you have your ERP component. Okay, and here you have your MDG component. Okay, so once any SAP system, you call it as an MDG system, where you need to activate something called business functions.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
So once you activate the MDG specific business functions, you can actually use this system as a MDG system. So before this MDG, how you create a master data in your regular ERP system, you go to the respective transactional codes, MM01, XK01, BP, okay, or else you'll have VD01. So there are multiple transaction codes are there, so using which you create a master data. But using MDG, what happens is, instead of creating the master data using MD, your traditional way, or using the SAP transaction codes, you will create the master data using MDG. Okay, so I'll create the master data in MDG using Fury, either Fury applications or basically web-based applications. Web-based applications, I create a master data. So the data gets actually created in my MDG system, and after that the data will be pushed down to my underlying the active area. So what is this area and what is this active area, we will discuss shortly. Okay, so what we are discussing as part of this course, the entire course revolves around how I will create a master data in MDG layer. Okay, and it's not only the creation, and how you set up a governance process around that master data. Governance process means basically it talks about when you are creating a master data, you need to enrich your master data by maybe some additional information. Let's say when I'm creating a supplier or customer, I also wanted to attach the DUNS ID for every customer or vendor. So I don't know what is a DUNS ID. So what I will do, I'll make an interface with some external third-party system, and I'll get that data. I will make a query to that particular third-party system, and I get the data, and I'll update the DUNS ID in my master data. Or else when I enter my material group or material type, based on this one, it should automatically derive certain standard attributes, so that user no need to enter the data. So this MDG always talks about when you say governance process. So you will be controlling all your the master data related behavior, how it should look like, and who I mean, what are the number approval process that should exist in my master data creation process, and at what step what attributes has to be derived, what information I need to display to that particular user, and to the stewards how I can show all the information. So we will be actually the entire MDG course revolves around on your governance process. Okay. So yeah, Ankit, any question? Ankit, any
Yes,
question?
yes. Akshay, are we going to cover integration with third-party systems like DNB
Yes.
or any other
Yeah.
platform?
Yeah. Yes.
So, what would be the, I mean, detailed discussion around that? Uh, will it be the shortcut, or in detail we'll discuss that how to integrate
So
MDG with any
as
third-party system?
yeah, yeah. So as I, we will be discussing when it comes to integrating the third party. So there are multiple options are there from MDG. Okay, so we one is SAP MDG comes up with something called enrichment spot framework. Okay, so using the enrichment spot framework, how we will connect to the third party system, that we will be discussing. Apart, that is what SAP recommends when it comes to that external integration. That is how we will integrate with the using that enrichment framework. But apart from that, there are some other ways are also there how we can interface with that one. So that we will be discussing during this course.
No, no. So my question is, are we going to see it practically that when we are going to integrate with MDG with any third-party system, let's say DNB, how it faces information from there and it stores it to
That
the
to show that demo, Ankit, I need to have a third party that connection. Like I need
yeah.
to have that credentials of the third party, right? So
Hmm.
then we won't be having that one. So I'll be explaining that how the framework look like, and I will be
But
showing that the sample piece of code. And after that, it's all the URLs and the user credentials that you need to use for your integration purpose.
Akshay, according to me, this is where the problem comes in. People just let you know that these are the nodes wherein you have to click here and there and all. They try to explain it in half an hour or an hour or show, but when it comes to real requirement, we cannot perform it. So better if we can provide license for MDG for training
We don't
purpose.
get that Ankit, because
Mm.
DNB thing, getting that access, you don't get it outside like how you are getting these MDG systems, right? So the training systems, so we don't get that one. So only you will get that situation in your real-time project scenarios only.
Yeah,
Someone client has to acquire or get that access credentials to make that calls, right? So that's
sure,
where
sure.
what I'm
I
that's
I do understand. Yeah.
so that's where what I am saying is, it's not like just showing that, okay, go to this node and do this, do that, including the sample piece of code as well. I will be providing that one because I have implemented multiple times in my previous projects. So what I will be doing, I'll be sharing the document as well. So it's all about the URLs or the user credentials will get changed. Apart
Mhm.
from that, rest everything is a kind of 70 to 80% of you will be reusing that from that documentation.
So do you think there we have only configuration to be done, or we need to
Coding
write
is
some?
also required. No, we need to write the coding as well. So it's not
Okay.
configuration, but you need to write coding as well. There are something called adapter classes will be there, and even
Mhm.
feeder classes will be there. So where you need to implement that logic
For
and
that, you expect somebody to be already through with concept of ABAP, not only ABAP, oops, ABAP in depth. If he's a skilled person or he's champion, I'm not champion, but he knows at least
yeah,
sufficient ABAP, then only he can be trained
that's
around
true.
those activities, or you would be training
Hmm.
those, I mean, people for those skills also.
No, no, no. This course is completely on your MDG. Okay, so we are
Mhm.
not going to teach any ABAP concepts or object-oriented ABAP concepts or anything. So the
Mhm.
expectation is in the last session we discussed there are two type of audience can attend this course. One is who are already working on SAP SD or functional side. They can correlate. They can actually attend that one from the functional point of view. The other one will be the ABAPers who are already working on an ABAP or OABAP, so they can actually register for this course. so that they can get that MDG flavor. But yeah, I will show you that if there whatever the baddies are there and everything, I'll show you there, and I'll show you some reference sample codes and everything, how it works and all those things. We will see wherever possible. We will be seeing that in the system demos. Sometimes like the example I showed, right, where we
Mm-hmm.
won't be able to get that access. So there I can provide you as much as the details with respect to the coding and everything. But we also need to have some ABAP knowledge to make that one. So from MDG side, what are the steps you need to perform, that we will be discussing. But
Okay,
inside that, from the coding point of view also, we will be discussing as much as in detail. Okay.
got
But
it.
maybe some ABAP knowledge is also required there to follow that.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Fine. Okay, so now, okay, coming back to our topic. So this is the definition of MDG. So that means SAP MDG comes up with a kind of framework where certain objects are already SAP developed. All you need to do is it's a kind of plug. I don't say it's a plug and play. You need to, you can actually, once you install this component, MDG component, then there are certain master data like business partners, material master, business partners, customers, vendors, and finance objects. And then you'll have something called EAM objects. Under EAM, you have multiple objects like equipment, functional location, BOM. Okay. So likewise, there are multiple objects are there, and article master. Okay. So these are the out of master data that SAP already built up a solution, okay, with all the standard features, standard functionalities. So all you need to do is you need to just activate these particular components in your MDG, and after that you can configure as per your business needs. Okay, so once you configure as per your business scenarios or your business requirements, you can start using this master data creation for these objects via
Hello, sir.
MDG
Could you raise
component.
your volume? Volume. We
Can
are
you hear
not.
me now? Can others hear me clearly?
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect for us.
Maybe you can just check your mic or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now all these objects are already available in MDG. Okay. So when I say available in MDG, how it works in your ERP layer, like your material master and everything. So in the same way, it also works the standard one, standard functionality. Now on top of the standard functionality, I wanted to customize this particular material master as per my business needs. You need to do the configuration. That's where the implementation come into picture. So this is one set of scenarios that we will be discussing as part of this course. Okay, so how to customize your standard objects. So first we will learn all the MDG basics and everything, and after that we will be start discussing that how we can customize this for your object specific scenarios. This is one scenario. The other scenario is along with that one, along with this out of box objects, SAP MDG framework allows you to create your own master data. When I say your own master data, let's say for example, in your organization, you have employee master or else company code. Okay. So or else plant creation. So these plants or all these are also master data. Okay. But you don't find any out of box solutions for this one. If at all, usually you create these plants in using SPRO configuration. You go to SPRO and create that one. But if business says that no, plant creation also should follow a governance approach in my organization, then there is no out of box solution for plant creation. So in this case, what you need to do is your MDG framework also allows you to build your own custom objects as well. So now I need to build a custom solution for my plant master in MDG. Okay, so that means what happens is in your SAP system, so this is your ERP layer. On top of that one, once you activate your MDG functionality, this is your MDG layer. Your plant creation happens here in ERP layer via SPRO configuration. Okay, so now in MDG, I will build a custom solution, or we call it as a custom objects. Okay, for plant master, okay. So now this solution will be available. Now I can instead of creating the custom plant from SPRO configuration in my ERP, now I will create a plant via my MDG. So once I create the plant via MDG, and finally the plant gets created in the underlying ERP. So it will be available. Okay. So likewise, you have your BP or finance objects, okay, or else your article master or EAM objects. So these are the out of box solutions. In other way,
don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
in on other hand, you can build your own custom solutions as well. You can bring any master data you feel that this master data has to be governed, so you can actually bring that into your MDG scope by via custom object framework. Okay, so as part of this course, we will be discussing both how I can actually build a custom object in my MDG and how I can build a governance solutions for this particular custom object. So that is one thing we will be discussing. And on the standard objects, right? So as I said, these objects are already available in MDG. So now the scenarios comes is basically how I can extend the existing standard object solutions to include my custom attribution or my custom tables. So those we will be discussing. Along with that one, we'll also discuss what are the different uh, uh, custom business requirements that I will be getting for in terms of the standard objects, how I can actually implement those in MDG. So we'll be discussing all those scenarios as part of this course.
Akshay, I have a question here. One doubt here
Yeah.
is,
Yeah,
can you
please.
go to the slide which you just saw now?
This one?
Yeah, but actually most of the scenarios, most of the project which the companies are using with S4 years. And now my question is, how can I go reverse way years from S4 to MDG and put all my master data in MDG years? The reverse way, yeah, the reverse approach.
Reverse approach means you have your the
S4
easy
years. S4 year, take an example, S4 years, and now in next year we will going with MDG years, and now how I will bring my master data to MDG year.
Okay, so for this one there are multiple options. See, you already have an existing S4 system where you are creating your master data without MDG. Now
Right,
what you are what you are saying is you need to actually build a governance. So I mean the MDG thing, okay, in your landscape. And once as part of this one, you will take all your requirements like your whatever, maybe if you're working on material master or BP or any object. So you will implement first all those the workflows, the derivations, the configurations, the customization in MDG. So once this is done, now the final question is, you already have your data in your existing S4 system. Now I wanted to bring that particular data into my MDG system. Okay, so how to bring the data from there to here? So that's where actually we have a topic called data replication framework. So we'll be discussing in the DRF. There are multiple approaches are there to bring the data into your MDG. So we will be in detail discussing in the topic this data replication framework.
Okay. Can we also do HANA migrations cockpit in top of the MDG?
Yes, that is also possible. So when it comes to this data migration, right, there are two type of data migrations, especially we'll be discussing. One is you use all your standard solutions, assuming this as another S4 system. No need to think it's an MDG system. Okay, so this is also one S4 system, and you are also have another S4 system. So how do you replicate, or how do you load the data from one S4 or one SAP system to other SAP system without any MDG intervention? That is one approach. When it comes to this, you can use bots, or you can use HANA cockpit, or whatever. You can use your traditional ad hoc approach, or you can use your LSMW, or all you custom programs. All those things you can use. Okay, but when it comes to MDG specific solution, that means I wanted to take this data via my MDG layer. That means I will load that data into my MDG layer, and it will again, when you, the advantage you get when you load the data into MDG layer is all the rules, derivations that you set up as part of your governance process. So that will be applied to your records, so that your records will be validated and it will be reviewed, validated, and it will be further enriched, okay, as per the rules that you set up in MDG. And finally, you will move the data to your the underlying the active area. So there are two approaches are there. So what are the options that are there if I have to take it via MDG layer? That is multiple options we will be discussing. And also, as you said, HANA cockpit and those things, we can also discuss those approaches as well.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the definition of MDG. So like MDG is a framework. Okay. So SAP provides, and in which you can have an object, your domain specific out of box master data will be readily available for your governance to use for your governance processes. And you can replicate the data central. You will create your master data centrally in MDG system, and you can replicate the data to all the target or transactional systems that this data, wherever this data is required, you can actually set up an automatic replication so that the data will be replicated to all the satellite systems in your landscape. Okay, so the typical MDG, the architecture will be something like this. You have your centrally MDG system. Okay, all your material master or business partners, customers, vendors, all the master data you create in MDG system. On one side, you will have your transactional systems where you can replicate the data to the multiple transactional systems. Okay, it can be either SAP system or it can be non-SAP system. Okay, and at the same time, you will also have something called source systems. Source systems where you will get the data from multiple source systems to MDG as well. Okay, so this is how your, and apart from this one, you will also have something called some external systems for your data enrichments. External systems, like one example we discussed is the Duns and Bradstreet, where when I'm creating a master data, your MDG will connect to this particular external system, and it will be, depends on the your the input data. It will again provide the response, and the result will be updated in your master data. So in this scenario, we will have multiple examples. DNB, Duns and Bradstreet is one example, and you can also have something called TJC, tax deduction code derivations. You can also have something called your address standardization microservices. Okay, so likewise, there are multiple third-party systems are available, and you can interface with that third-party system for your data enrichment purpose. Okay, so now coming back to what are the important components in MDG. Okay, so first and foremost is your governance. Okay, so governance means basically you are governing how you wanted to create your master data. Okay, so I have finished products in my organization. So when I'm creating a finished product, I might be having some different set of rules and different set of approval process. Like for all my finished product, I will have some different set of, when I, as soon as I select the material type as a FERT, which is a finished product, then you will have some different material groups, and all the finished products should be by default it should get extended to certain plants automatically, and it should actually go for a two-step approval process, and finally the data should replicate to the target system. These are the target systems. So that is one approach. Similarly, if at all I have to create another material which is like chemical products, then I might be having some different approval process and different enrichments, right? So you will completely govern what attributes you wanted to derive for which object types, and which one should go for auto approval and what object should go for one-step approvals or two-step approvals. Okay, and identifying the duplicates while you are creating your master data, and you should have a proper search application so that you can search your master data before creation, with different parameters. Okay, and you wanted to enrich your master data. So usually what happens is in MDG, so we will always accept very minimal input from the users. Okay, if I'm creating a material, so I will take only the basic information like the material type, material group, and unit of measure. Okay, after that depends on that one, how much possible you can actually basically you can just give me. sorry. So depends on your input. You will write certain rules in such a way that everything should automatically get derived. Derived means user no need to enter the data, it will automatically populate. One example is when as soon as I enter a material type, for this particular material type, all these plants should automatically get derived. So that user no need to go and manually extend the plants. In this case, we will get two type of advantages. One is it will be a best user experience so that user will enter only minimal one, and there will be and another important advantage is there will be very less chance or no scope for making a fault in the sense, let's say for example, if I'm deriving programmatically the plants, 10 plants, so then every time it will derive that 10 plants, my material will get extended to 10 plants. Otherwise, if I always ask the user to extend this material to these 10 plants, right? Sometimes he may forget or probably he'll miss some of the plants or he'll extend it wrongly as well. So when always as much as data, we will actually derive or enrich via rules. Those we call it as a business rules. In the system before your project implementation or project, probably as part of your project implementation, we will collect all such kind of business rules from the business. Okay, and we will define those rules or we will configure those rules in the system. So that depends on your material types or depends on your customer account group or vendor account group or okay, certain parameters, you do all your derivations. So with this one, user will enter less input, rest everything will automatically get derived, and there will be no scope for any making a manual human mistakes. Okay, so this is a thumb rule we usually follow. Okay, now this is one in terms of enriching your master data. The other one is having a proper systematic checks. That means as in certain attributes, maybe in some scenario for this particular material group, these 1, 2, 3 attributes are mandatory on the UI application. Okay, so I mean, let me quickly show you so that you will correlate what I'm talking. Okay, I'm logging into MDG, the user, what do you call this, home page. So this is how it look like. Okay, so material governance. So there are multiple activities that user can perform on material master. Similarly, you will have another home page for your customer governance. So likewise, you have multiple things. We will discuss about these applications as well. But let's look how your material creation UI look like. Okay, so I'll go and this is a search application, we call it as. Okay, now you don't find this kind of thing in your ERP. So this is on MDG based solutions. So look at, I can actually search materials based on certain parameters over here. Okay, all these are the configurable one. You can add your custom attributes as well, on which based on that you wanted to search your materials. Okay, so I'll enter my input criteria, and when I search, I will get all the results, matching results in the down. Okay, so these are the different materials you can find. Now from here, let's say for example, either you can actually, whatever the material that you are looking, if that material is already available, you can actually open that material and edit it, or else you can go ahead and create a new material. Okay, so this is equivalent to your MM01 transaction. In SAP, how you create materials, right? Using MM01, it's the same thing, but that is your SAP specific, ERP specific GUI based transaction code without MDG. And this is your MDG specific UI application. Okay, so now look at this one. As soon as I enter into my material creation, already the plant status is defaulting to some value. Okay, and there are certain mandatory information is there. The stars indicates that the mandatory information. This basic data view that you are seeing over here, this is equivalent to your MM01. You have basic data view 1 and basic data view 2. So the first two tabs clubbed into one single view over here. Okay, so what I'm saying here, so when you are entering this particular data, so you might need some attributes as a mandatory attributes. So that's where we will configure it via business rules only. So we will discuss about two things. One is derivations, other one is the validations. Derivations are the nothing but based on your, let's say if I enter my material type as FERT, when I enter, so based on my material type, certain values will automatically get populated. That is one thing. And other one is there are certain attributes I wanted to make it mandatory, so that if user has to mandatorily input it and before submission of this particular request. Okay, so all such kind of, we call it as a validations. So we will be, as part of the governance process, we will configure all possible business rules in such a way that your material, you will have your golden record in the system. Okay, so that is the major one. And as part of this one, we will discuss about identifying the duplicates, configuring that validations or derivations, or configuring the search applications. And after that, most importantly, the workflows in MDG. So majorly we will be discussing about the workflows also. So workflows are like a typical workflow. How it look like in MDG is basically, so requester will log into the same material creation UI I just showed you, right? So requester will initiate a material creation process, and after that it will go to approver. Okay, and approver will review, validate, and either he can actually approve the request or else he can reject the request. Okay, so once he approves the request, it goes to, maybe assume that steward, who is the super user. He will review it, and finally he will actually approve the request. Once he approves the request, then your request will be completed and the material will be get created. Your material creation process is completed. Okay, or else steward also can reject. So once someone rejects it, there will be again another department, a revision team or some department, who will actually review this particular rejection request, and they will validate what is the reason for the rejection. Either after that they can correct the data and they can resubmit the request. Once they can resubmit the request, or else they can actually withdraw this request as well. They can withdraw the request as well. Okay, so this is a typical workflow that in MDG we follow. Now it is a configurable one, depends on the scenarios. Either you can have, this is a two-step, approver and steward are there, but sometimes what happens, you wanted to have three-step approval process or auto approval process, or sometimes you will have parallel workflows. Okay, so likewise we will be, that is also again another governance process, that another governance feature that we are adding while creating your master data. Okay, if it is your normal ERP, when you are creating using MM01, it's only one person will log into the system and he will actually enter the data and click on save button. Then directly the data gets created into your Mara Marcy tables. Okay, there is no reviewer or approval. Whereas in MDG, what happens is, whatever this particular flow that I just explained, right? This entire thing will happen in your MDG layer only. Okay, so this is your MDG layer, this is your ERP layer. In the same single S4 system, you have these components. Now, whatever I explained, the approval process, all the things will be there in your MDG layer only. You have your Mara table, Marcy table in the down. Okay, you will also have something called over here, we call it as a staging tables. So these are your staging tables. These are your Mara Marcy tables. I'm just taking as an example, but we call it these as a active tables or active area. Okay, so now your entire workflow process or your data enrichment, everything will happen, right? So in this process, your data always gets stored into your staging record only. It will get stored into your staging tables only. Okay, so once the request successfully approved, okay, once the request successfully approved, then only the record will move from your staging area to your active area. And if there is a rejection in between, right, someone rejected this record, okay, in this case the record will get deleted from your staging area and nothing will move to your active area. So that is how, this is the major the differentiation with or without MDG. Okay, without MDG directly in ERP, you don't have this kind of staging concept. Whereas with MDG, SAP added or introduced this staging layer, staging area. So in the all your working record which are in process, which are not yet approved, and it is in the way of its of getting approvals. So all those changes will be happening on your staging record only. Only the finalized record will be moved to your active area. At any point of time, if it in the workflow process, if someone feels that this material is not at all required, they can simply reject and withdraw the request. Then nothing will move to your active area. So with that, I will be controlling that what data has to go into my active area.
Customizing also in MDG, like all the SPRO, all thing
Yeah,
which I did it.
good question. So here now, this is a one single SAP system. I'm just representing or visualizing for you that what is the MDG layer, what all the things that we do in MDG, and and you also have your ECC. So your SPRO configuration will be available over here. Okay, your MDG configuration will be available over here. MDG IMG configuration is available over here. Okay, so these two are two different things, but both are there in the same system. Okay, now if you go to this, if you look at this system, this is an SAP system. Okay, so let me first highlight one more thing before. Okay, so
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
to create or to have an MDG system, right? First, you should have one SAP system. Okay, so this SAP system is nothing but your ERP system, whether it is an S4 system or your ECC version, it doesn't matter. But you should have one SAP system. Now, on top of this, now I wanted to use this system as my MDG system. Then what I will do, I need to activate something called business functions. So there's a T code, SFW5 is the T code. You go to SFW5 T code, and there are certain business functions are available for MDG. Now, once you activate that, you get your MDG component. That MDG component will be, all the MDG functionalities will be available over here. So as part of this SAP system, you already having your SPRO. All your material master related, your material types or number ranges, everything you configure here only. How you are doing before MDG, without MDG. Now, once you actually activate your MDG functional business functions, then here also you will have MDG specific configuration or customizing that that will be done via MDG IMG is the transaction code. So in this one, you only do the configuration very specific to MDG. But to create a material via my MDG layer, I need to have this configuration as well as this configuration, because when I'm creating a material master using my MDG, it also looks into my SPRO configuration. It also looks into my MDG IMG, MDG specific configuration. Both should be there. Without this system, you cannot actually install MDG component. So it is very much prerequisite that you should have an ERP system. That's or S4 ERP system, right? So because when I'm saying is S4 system, ERP system, you will be having all your master data specific configurations. Like you will have your all material related tables, customer related active area tables, BP related tables, finance object, customer cost center, profit center related tables, your article master or EM related. So all the tables are already available over here. Okay, so I need to have this component.
Okay, if my ERP is not S4, so in that case, is it that we should just have utilize that SFCW5 or the T code which you mentioned to activate business functions, or we also need to have license of MDG in addition of my regular ERP, and then only I can activate those business functions which are relevant to MDG related applications or web page.
Yeah. So what happens is, if your underlying system is an S4 system, right? So you will already have these business functions, but see whether it's an S4 or your ECC system, you need to activate business functions. Then only you will get to see MDG related functionality. Okay. Now what happens is, as part of ERC, you need to take a separate license for to use the MDG functionality. But as part of the S4, it will be inbuilt. By default, you will get these MDG functions automatically available. Available means still you need to activate the business functions, but no need to take a separate license.
Excuse me, material ledger activation and all those things we have to do in separate our SAP system.
Yeah, so for valuation and all those things, ledger related,
material
everything.
types, material number, characteristics,
Yes.
everything we have to do it in SAP ERP.
Yes,
MDG
yes.
is going to send the master data in from MDG to SAP.
Yeah, that's true. So you will configure all your material types, material groups, and your number range objects, if it is a customer or vendor account groups, and all those things you will be configuring here only. See, without, assume that always without MDG, if at all you wanted to create a customer or you wanted to create a vendor or material, what all the configuration that you need to do as part of SPRO, you have to do everything here. On top of that one, once you activate your MDG, then you also need to do some configuration as part of MDG.
Akshay, do you see that we still need SPRO for some of the activities? We cannot manage everything which requires to enable you to create your master data through MDG, IMG access.
No.
You still need something to do in SPRO.
Still needs not something, actually the complete configuration has to be available. When I say, see, for material master, what are the things you need? You need material types, you need to configure material groups, you need to configure your number range objects, you need to configure your plants, you need to configure your sales orgs, you need to configure your valuation areas and your storage locations. Okay. And you need to configure your account groups. So all these things are required in this SPRO. You have to do everything. On top of that one, you will be doing MDG. MDG also look into these configurations. If the plant configuration is not available in your SPRO, via MDG, you cannot extend that material to a plant. You will create your plant or sales orgs, everything via SPRO configuration. On top of that one, MDG, IMG adds your governance flavor. Okay, so like what attributes has to be derived and how the workflow should look like and all those things. So all the required configuration will be done over here. That's where the MDG, if whoever actually working SD as SD or MM functional consultants, right? So they might be already aware of fully on this SPRO configurations. So now on top of this one, the only governance specific configurations they will learn as part of this course.
Okay. So when it comes to
Okay.
material type configuration, we do it in MDG or we do it in SPRO?
SPRO, nothing in MDG, IMC, whatever is already available in SPRO, you are not going to touch in MDG, IMG adds your configuration specific to governance one, your governance related configurations. MDG specific functionality, if I say in other words, MDG specific functionalities can be done over here, MDG, IMG. SPRO is for all your material master related configuration or BPR customer related configurations.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
Akshay, what about this user exit body, which we have implemented in the sales order? Do we also have to do it in MDG?
Yeah, that's again another good question. So the reason I'm drawing this diagram every time so that we will understand
it is very clear. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so now let's look at, this is your MDG layer. Okay, for a minute, forget about this MDG layer. This is your ERP layer. That means your S4 box or ECC box. Okay, now I'm creating a material using MM01 earlier. Now, while creating the MM01, SAP actually provided certain BAdIs here, where I can do some derivations or some validations or whatever. So this BAdI will get executed when you create or change or something like this. Okay, now this BAdI is available as part of my ERP component. Similarly, when you are creating a customer or vendor also, you might be having certain BAdIs or enhancements or probably certain user exits. Okay, so all these things are already available. Now, the thing is that when it comes to MDG, MDG also, when you are any master data, I'm saying any master data, when you are creating or when you are changing, okay, or when you are actually blocking or whatever you perform on any master data, MDG also comes up with some kind of BAdIs. It has BAdIs. There are multiple ways are there, BRF applications. So all these ultimately, all whatever I'm saying over here, this is to implement certain derivations or certain validations or some logic you wanted to execute when someone is creating or changing this one. Now, these are my MDG specific BAdIs, and these are already my ERP specific BAdIs, which are already available. Now, the question here is, when I'm creating a material using my MM01, this BAdI will get executed and it will do some derivation or certain validation, and user will correct the data, and automatically the material will get created into my Mara table in the backend database table. Now, what happens when I create a material using MDG? Do I need to, this particular, the logic implemented in this particular BAdI, do I need to bring into this one or not? Okay, so that's where actually whatever already available, the logic that you have in underlying ERP, okay, when you are creating any material or any master data, especially when I'm talking about the standard objects, BP, finance, customer, all these objects, it also executes the BAdIs that are already available in the backend. Okay, so there is a configuration available. You can take a call whether you wanted to execute this or not, but the default configuration will be, it also looks into this particular BAdI, and whatever the logic that you have written over here, that logic will get executed. Let's say, for example, I have already configured some 10 business rules here. Now, all my 10 business rules will get executed, the validations and derivations. Additionally, as part of this MDG introduction, all the new rules that are provided by business, I'll be adding over here. So this will be 20 rules I added over here. Now, when I'm creating a material using my MDG layer, then there will be 30 rules will get executed, 10 plus 20, 30 rules will get executed. But if I create a material using my MM01, only these 10 rules will get executed. Now, again, here there are two, the good practice is, in general, whatever the rules that you have, this 10, if you are able to bring into MDG itself, then that is well and good. But if you think that it will be an additional overheadache to bring this into my MDG layer, still you can keep it, no issues. So MDG will take care of. So that's why that is the advantage, that you actually, if you activate your MDG component on top of your existing S4 or ERP system, it has that intelligence enough to look into your underlying, your SPRO configuration and your BAdIs and everything. So there is no difference you find the way how you are creating material using MM01 versus the way that how you are creating using MDG applications. Okay, because both are exist in the same system. MDG reuses your complete SPRO, your basically your ERP framework. It reuses that. So all whatever you configured over here, it will be reusing and it will be looking into that configuration. Without this particular layer, MDG you cannot install, because you have a hard dependency with your SPRO and all the BAdIs, whatever you see in the underlying active area tables, everything, right? It has a hard dependency. Whereas if I'm using MDM, so MDM is also another master data, which is a altogether a separate system, non-ABAP based system. So now here, whatever in my MM01, whatever the BAdIs that I configured, right, it doesn't look into that one. You need to configure everything into your MDM, all the rules and everything. Okay, that's why actually most of the customers are going with MDG, because you can see a lot of things that you can reuse, and advantage that if your MDG exists on top of your ERP system. So that's why many of the people will prefer MDG over your MDM.
Question still comes to my mind. Take an example like I am in S4 and I have additional fields in business partner master data, yeah, and now I did it in S4 years, and now I am using MDG. So those
Mm.
additional field, yeah, I
Mm.
also have to bring it into MDGs like a customer defined field. Yes, use.
Yes, yes, yes. Let me tell again that. Okay. So this is your ERP system. You have, let's
Akshay,
say, for example, let me finish this question and then I'll take your question. Okay. So
sure.
you have your KNA1 table for your customer master. In KNA1 table, you have your customer number, you have that customer account group, the standard fields. Additionally, you also enhanced some Z attribute. Let's say, for example, some Z field, like a Z field 1, you extended Z field 2. Okay, so now these fields are already available in your ERP layer. Now in MDG, okay, so when you on your UI application, you will see only the standard attributes. These custom attributes, you don't see it. So that's where actually you need to extend your MDG, the models to include your custom attributes also into this particular scope. So that's where the standard of the master data extensions come into picture. Let's say if you are using BP or material or something, right? So then if you already extended with some custom attributes, then you also need to extend those custom attributes into your MDG, so that when you create a material or customer or anything via MDG layer, once your approval is done, so how the standard attributes are getting updated with the values. Similarly, your custom attribute also will get updated with the data. So you need to extend the backend MDG content with all your Z attributes, including your UI applications and everything. We will discuss as part of this course how I can extend the standard MDG master data to include my custom tables or custom attributes. Does it answer your question?
Very clear, Akshay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's another question. Sorry, I stopped.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, thank you, Akshay. So my question was around the previous topic which we discussed about BAdIs. So when it comes to BAdIs discussion, the very first thing which comes to any consultant is that you should be very good at ABAP. Is it correct? Or in MDG, we do have some standard BAdIs. If you are not supposed to do too much of modification in that, even with proper training or knowledge, a functional consultant can also manage handling. I mean, he can also handle BAdIs when there is not much of deviation from the standard BAdIs which are there for MDG. What do you think about it?
Okay, so here, similarly in any your SAP module, whether it's a SD or MM or any CRM, SRM, any SAP module, the BAdIs or enhancements are the common thing where we can SAP provided to extend or write your own custom implementation or as per your business needs, right? So in the same way, how you have the BAdIs over here in your ERP layer, this kind of BAdIs also, there is nothing different. So always, whether it's a MDG BAdI or your SD or MM BAdI, you need a knowledge on ABAP to implement that particular BAdI. But what helps to the functional is, because in MDG, I don't know which BAdI, where it is there, in which scenario, which BAdI I have to use, and all those scenarios, maybe the difference between a normal ABAPer versus an MDG technical ABAPer or MDG technical person is, MDG follows certain framework. Okay, you need to, the way how you read the data from your staging tables or how you read the data from your MDG UI applications, it uses certain APIs. Okay, so now the MDG technical person will well aware of all these towards end of this course. He is more comfortable in reading the data, writing the logic in MDG. So for a normal ABAPer, it will be difficult for him to follow. But when it comes to the coding part, in the BAdI, we will write the same ABAP logic. So there is nothing difference for the ABAP point of view. Okay. But for the functional, right? So there are two things. One is for the functional, even what kind of logic I'm implementing inside that particular BAdI. If you leave that one, but at least locating that BAdIs, in what scenarios, what BAdIs I have to use, so that at least I can guide my ABAPer. Sometimes in the projects, right? Most of the time you get an MDG non-technical person, the person who is aware of MDG. But sometimes what happens is you will get an only ABAPer. So for the ABAPer, he doesn't know where to go, where to write the logic, or else he will start debugging from the standard, and he will end up spending hours together to find the right BAdI.
Yep.
But if functional knows that the BAdIs, okay, then at least they can guide that, okay, in this scenario, this is the place usually you will write the the derivations or validation, and he can directly jump into the BAdI. There are some reference classes are provided. I will show you how to use that reference classes for where you can refer the code. And that's where actually the ABAPer can, it will easy that job for the ABAPer. That is one advantage that the functional will get benefited from this particular course. The other one is SAP also provided, you can see here, there is something called BRF, Business Rule Framework. Okay. So using this particular BRF, functional also can write the validations or derivations. He no need to know the ABAP law, ABAP. Okay. So there is a system driven certain conditions. There will be a kind of editor. So in the editor, you need to write certain, you need to perform certain steps, so that in the, once you activate that rule in the backend, it automatically generates the required ABAP code. Okay, so that's why I just highlighted here 2 points. In normal ERP, you will only find the BAdIs, but whereas in MDG, along with the BAdIs, you also have something called BRF framework. Okay, so this BRF framework is already available as part of your ABAP, but SAP used extensively in MDG, the BRF. So what is the advantage you get? This is mainly targeted for the functional folks. Your workflows or your validations or your derivations, everything you can also configure using BRF. In the backend, it generates the required ABAP code. Okay. If I'm a technical person, I will prefer writing the logic in my BAdI. But if it is a functional person, he will prefer writing the validations or derivations or any business rules inside this particular BRF.
Very clear. So just one thing, in this course, we would be looking at both things,
Yes.
managing things
Yes.
through BAdI and
Yes.
also through BRF plus.
Yes. Yes. We will be discussing both.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Yep. Now going back to this. Okay, so this is all about your complete governance. Okay, so we have many more topics to discuss in the governance as part of the governance. If you look at the course curriculum, all this from here onwards, it talks about till here all the governance related how you configure and everything. Okay, now apart from that, you also have something called consistency. So what does consistency means basically? So this is again another advantage with the MDG. So one simple example is, if you know how to configure a workflow for two-step approval process for my material master, the same thing you can apply your knowledge for BP, or maybe for your finance object or any master data, because the workflows that you are building in MDG for any, that is not object specific. Okay, if you know how to do it for one object, you will the same knowledge you need to apply for the other objects as well, or even your custom objects as well. So SAP made it as a kind of consistent approach. The way how you look, you see your UI application, right? So if you see, this is your search application. This I'm in a material governance. In the material governance, this is my search application. So this application divided into two components. The top component is your search criteria, where user can actually search based on certain parameters, and in the down you see your result table. So along with that one, you also see where you can, from here you can uh, create a new material, or you can copy and create a new material. You can perform a mass change, you can perform multi-processing, you can look at the change documents, the replication status. So you can perform multiple activities from here. Okay. And similarly, let's go to the customer governance. Here also you will have the same approach. The only difference is that is this is customer specific screen, search screen, that is material specific screen. Here also you will find at the top the search application. It is loading. So here also you will have your the top the search criteria, in the down the result. So user can search based on the search parameters, and he will get to see the result. From the result, if he finds the right object, he can actually go to display, or else he can actually create a new customer or new vendor.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
But actually, this is not in the cloud, no? It's in on-premise. Or
This
also in
is on
cloud
premise.
also.
It is there everywhere. Like on premise, MDG concept doesn't change with respect to cloud or premise. The only thing is that whether this system is hosted on a cloud or it is hosted on a premise is the only difference.
Okay.
But your conceptual wise, whether it is a cloud or on premise, it remains same. Now see
Same.
here,
Okay.
this is your customer search application. Now see here also you have your search parameter, search criteria, but here you will find the attributes, customers or partner specific attributes. Okay, once I search, I will get to see the results over here, the customer related data. The different customers depends on my search criteria. Okay, now from here, either I can launch a new customer or I can create a new, or else I can block, I can select this customer and I can block this customer, or else I can delete this, mark for delete this customer. I can look at the change documents, history, what changes made, who changed what for this customer till now. You can look at the replication status. From here, you can replicate the data to the target systems. You can copy, multi-processing. So everything remains same. So what I'm trying to say here is all the processes that you are going to learn as part of MDG, if you are learning it for one object, that will be same for all the objects. You have duplicate check configuration. Okay, when I'm creating a customer, I wanted to, system should propose me that based on the your address data, these are the matching records, and it should show that all the matching records. Okay, so that we call it as via duplicate configuration. We will actually configure that, we will achieve that functionality. Okay, once you know how to configure a duplicate check for a customer, the same thing you can apply for supplier, you can apply for your material master, or you can apply for your custom object as well. So here the consistency means all the features whatever we are learning as part of MDG over here, your data models, your UI applications, your workflows. Okay, you are writing the validations or derivations, configuring your data replication framework, your mass imports or mass updates. So all those things will be remain common across all the objects. Okay, so that is another good part. No need to, only very few object specific functionalities are there. Let's say for example in finance objects like your cost center, profit center, there is a concept called addition, because your all finance objects are time dependent objects. So that's why SAP introduced addition concept for finance objects, so that we will learn separately what is the concept of addition, and why it is only applicable for finance, why it is not applicable for other objects. We will discuss those things. Okay, so 90 to 95%, most of the concepts that we are learning, that is common across all the objects. Maybe 5 to 10% depends on the nature of the object. So you will find some specific configurations you need to do. Okay, now coming back to consolidation. So this consolidation topic, SAP actually, always your MDG talks about master data governance and replicating the data to the target systems and everything. But if you look at this particular architecture, so consolidation means in the organization, you might be having different source systems for your material master, maybe different departments remotely creating their materials in a different systems. But when it comes to that, because we have an MDG system, I want every master data has to be available in my MDG system. So in this case, what we will do, I need to bring all the materials that are getting created in every source system into MDG system. Maybe the same material is available with 3 different material numbers in 3 different source systems. Now, but when you are adding, when you are bringing into MDG, there is a scope that you can consolidate your all those multiple duplicate records into a single record, and you can process it. Okay, so your consolidation talks about how you can consolidate, how you can import mass imports into your MDG system. So those concepts MDG we will be discussing in consolidation topic. This is one of the another recently added feature where we will be discussing more on consolidation as well. Now, after that, coming to integration. So as I said, your MDG can talk to SAP or non-SAP systems, and additionally, it can also interface with external systems for your further data external enrichments. Okay, So that's where actually MDG he has having that capability to integrate with any system. It integrates your to DNB, it integrates to your information steward, it integrates your MDM, it integrates to your address microservices. Okay, so likewise Vertex systems. So we can integrate with any SAP or non-SAP systems as part of your data enrichment or as part of your data replication. Flexibility. So this flexibility, as I said, MDG comes up with some out-of-box objects like material, business partner, customer, vendor. All these are the out-of-box objects. You no need to develop all the functionalities that we are going to discuss, right from the data model, UI applications and all those things. Everything is already available for the out-of-box objects. Okay, but you when it comes to custom object in the sense, as I said, maybe plant creation I wanted to bring into my MDG scope. So, or probably employee master. So in these scenarios, your framework, MDG framework has that capability, or it supports that, where you can create your own master as well. Okay, so there will be two type of objects. One is the standard objects, other one is the custom objects. We call it as a custom objects, which is not available as part of the standard solution. So your MDG framework supports both. That is a flexibility. Okay, you can create your own master data and you can actually govern the master data. For your custom master data, you can apply all these functionalities. How these are your standard objects are behaving, in the same way you can also apply all these functionalities are available for your custom objects as well. Okay, so that is the one. Now another one is data quality. So this is very, very important. Okay, so till now, right, so till here what we are doing is basically we are actually providing the flexibility to have all the governance features. But now with the data quality, right, okay, why anyone will go to MDG? Because they wanted to have a clean data in their system. Okay, so now how do I know that I have a clean data in my system? Okay, there should be some measurement, right? There should be a way to how you need to measure your data, the quality. Okay, so that's where your data quality comes into picture. Okay, so using this data quality, you can measure your data quality, like okay, out of 1 million of records, okay, these many records are the faulty records. So then it's a continuous process. Data quality is always continuous process. So what you will do is you will set up certain data quality rules and you will run those rules on your existing data. Now today when I run my data quality rules on my existing 1 lakh records, then I got 1000 records as a defective records. Then what I will do, the steward will correct those 1000 records, defective records. After that, again, next time when someone runs the data quality rule, right, then ideally it should actually decrease the number of defective records. That means maybe from 1000 to 100 or 0. That means your data quality is improving. Every time when you run your data quality, your data rules, your data quality is improving, right? So that's how I will measure. But next time when I run, instead of 1000, if I see 5000 of records are defective records, something is wrong. So I need to work for the root cause. So that's how I will know all your governance process, rules, verification, validation, enrichment, reviewers, approvers, everything is fine. But at the end of the day, after all this, it should give me the result, right? I should have a that golden record in my system. So this is the topic where we can measure my data quality. Okay, so we'll be discussing all these as part of our the course. Okay, I'll stop here for today, and if any questions are there, we can discuss. There are some chats as well, so let me. I think this valuation plants, assigning valuation of materials in different plants. What is this? Can someone elaborate?
Yeah, that is the valuation assignment, material valuation. Actually, we have to do that in various planned wise. No, so whether that also will be possible by this MDG?
No, see, again, this actually comes into your SPRO configuration. How do you do all this configuration in your SPRO, right? Without MDG, where do you do these configurations?
No. This is, I'm talking about the master data level actually. The
Yeah. So what
if I'm
saying
creating a plant and if I have material and if I have 23 plants and we are actually extending the material into all the 23 plants, so that is covered under this as per your
yes,
explanation. But
yes.
each plant wise, this valuation is not my question, because initially the assigning the valuation.
So exactly, yeah, that's true. So how you do in your, like let's say for example, when you are creating a material using MDG, and when you are extending it to a plant, if at all there is something valuation areas also you need to associate, you need to do it. And from the MDG you can assign basically. That is what your question, right? So let me show you this UI. Okay, so I think I'll collapse all. Okay, I think this got expired. Let me just go to material governance, search materials. Whatever the actions that you are performing from MM01, 02, 03, everything you can do from here. Okay, so let me show you. You can see here, this is the basic data. In MM01, you have basic data view 1,
Yes,
view 2, right?
yes.
So this is exactly replica of your the two views. This is your material description section, your dimension section. Similarly, your purchasing, sales, storage, warehouse management related. Similarly, if your sales organizations you will maintain over here. So you can extend to a sales organization distribution channel. You can click on add and extend this material to multiple sales organizations. Similarly, all the sales related information you can maintain under these multiple views. When it comes to plants, you can extend your material to plants. So you can assign a plants over here. So likewise, you can click on add button and add as many as plants you want. When you add a plant specific to that particular plant, you will be maintaining some configuration, some data. Under general data, you will have your ABC indicators and all these attributes, right? So this is all completely plant related. You can see. Similarly, when you come down, you have your valuation related configurations also you need to maintain. You can add. So whatever activities that you can perform using MM01, this exactly the replica of the same thing. The only difference is this is via MDG, that is via your without MDG.
Okay, so this is actually, some of this data is actually very plant specific. So that can be based on the business algorithm. Some rules can be set in this, because to fetch that, to update the plant specific data in that
Yes,
fields,
yes, yeah,
even for valuation.
That's true.
Very
yes.
Good.
MDG is going to maintain the same master data. It helps to maintain the same master data in all the landscapes. In the landscape.
All the landscape means, yeah. So
yeah,
from
development and production and quality. If we are going to maintain same landscapes like material master.
Yeah. Yes. Let me.
It also helps in that.
Yeah. So yeah, this is your development system. Okay. You do all your MDG implementation, everything in this development system. Then let's say, for example, you have any SIT system. So it will capture under the transports and you will move the transports to your SIT system so that the changes will be available. You can do some testing over here. And after that, you will have your UAT system. And in the UAT system also, you will move your transports over here. And from here, finally, you'll move it to the prod system. Okay. So it is nothing, it's the same way how you do it in your other SAP areas. Because at the end of the day, it's a one SAP system. This is your SAP system only, but you have your MDG layer on top of it, right? So whatever the changes that you are doing, most of them are via transports only, but there are very few where you need to manually maintain in every system. So I will also touch base whenever there is a particular configuration that you have to manually do it in every system, that I will again touch base during our course.
No, sir, I am asking whether if I am going to maintain the entire master data in development, may I transfer it to quality and similarly to this production
No, see,
by
this will come
MDG?
in. No. See, why you create your master data in development system? You create your data in
For
production
testing
system,
purpose,
right?
we are going to create. Na, at that time only, if we are going to create.
So that, see, let's say for example, you forget about MDG. Are you consultant?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's assume that you are consultant. You configured material types, right? So in your development system, now to test your scenario, you go to MM01 and you create a material.
Yeah.
Now after that, you decided my material type is working fine in my development system. Then what you do? You move your customizing transport to SIT, right? Now in the SIT, are you going to move the same material, or you just only move the transport and create another material over here to test your scenario?
We are going to do new material over there.
The same thing
SIT.
here as well. The same thing here as well. So once you move your transports to the next level system, in the next system, you create a new set of data to test your scenarios.
No.
Why I wanted to move my material from here to here?
No. MDG, if it is going to help for entire landscapes, that's
No. I got your question, but not like that. Okay. At every landscape, you need to create your test data.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great.
Okay, if I may ask, my question is related to previous topic what we discussed, around valuation paths, etc.
Yeah.
So the NWBC is just a platform wherein we are making use of NWBC for maintaining master data, the way we were doing in our traditional MDM system. Is there any possibility that we can also maintain things like valuation class, plan data, etc., in MDG itself, or it will be so we will have to do it in SPRO every time, and then we have to make use of that in NWBC.
Okay, so let me again clarify here. So what we are doing is now this particular NWBC UI is for my material creation, right? So when I'm creating a material, I will use what valuation class I have to assign and what plant I need to assign, what sales org I need to assign. That means when you come to this UI, by this time you already should have already configured your valuation classes, your sales orgs, your plants, your sales orgs and everything, valuation areas, everything. So where you do that, you do it in your SPRO configuration. So this is the place where I can, this is my equivalent to my MM01 transaction. This is this particular UI, that UI I'm showing here. So this is exactly replica of my MM01 transaction, but this is my MDG based. Okay.
Very
so
true.
let me, yeah. Okay. So now if you look at this one, you have your MM01 here. Now the NWBC application I'm showing over here, this is replica of this one. Okay. But the only difference is this is MDG based application. This is my ERP based application. Okay. But irrespective of whether I create using NWBC or MM01, in my SPRO configuration, before creating a material or via either of these two things, I should already configure my plants, my sales orgs, valuation classes, valuation areas, my storage locations, everything should be already available here.
Yep.
Now I can go to my MWBC UI application. From the F4 drop down, if you see here, from the F4 drop down, I will select the plant that I wanted to extend. Okay. So when I use here F4 button, search. So now all these plants are coming up from my SPRO configuration. Okay, because I can, so now I can extend my material to this particular plant.
Okay, so next question, which is related to this itself. When it comes to SPRO configuration, it's not a simple thing. There are too many things to manage in SPRO itself. So when it comes to a discussion around MDG, what do you think? Are we going to discuss all the concepts of SPRO also, not just the use, but also the concept of what is valuation class, what impact it will have on your material and all?
No,
or
that is part of your MM course.
Okay.
That is part of your course. Okay.
I
So
do agree.
here,
That's why I was asking it.
yeah. So we are not going to learn your the SPRO configuration. Wherever SPRO configuration is required or something MDG is looking, I will touch base those only the required parts. But as part of this one, how to create a sales org or how to create a plant or how to do that your material management configurations, your screen layout configurations, material type configurations, those are not part of this course. Here we are learning only the MDG concepts.
Yeah, somebody should have that experience already, and then they can make
Yes,
use of
yeah,
that
that's
here.
why, yeah, exactly. So that's why if an consultant or SD consultant is there, right? So he know how to set up the account groups, what screen configurations or your field status configurations, everything will be aware of that one. So
Right.
what is the from MDG side of the story, he can learn from here.
Okay, got it.
And how about the conversion methods?
Sorry,
Conversion
sorry, your voice is
I
not
was
clear.
asking, what are the conversion methods you will be covering? Data conversion methods.
Data conversion method means for the data loads.
Yes, I mean probably from some legacy system to MDG if you want to load the data.
So that's where
Right, so
actually whatever MDG offers in MDG, there are something called CMP apps are available, Consolidation Mass Processing apps, and there is something called Data Import Framework, and there is something called File Upload Download. So whatever MDG offers to import the data or to bulk creation or to bulk upload into the system. So those techniques we will be discussing. Apart from this, there are also non-MDG techniques are there. Those are your BODS or HANA also come up with some migration cockpits. You also have your traditional way of LSMW, BDC, or else you also have, what is the tool? I forgot. There is one more tool recently in HANA came, or probably your ABAP programs. So those traditional way, non-MDG thing, we are not going to discuss in this course. What MDG offers, we will discuss as part of this course.
okay. And also business specific discussions, right? Like, I mean, how we have to approach business, or I mean, how to understand.
Yes. That we will be discussing. So, with respect to your BP, all these things, right? So, how actually we will ask and we will get the information based on our experience, my experience in previous projects. So, I'll be touch base whenever every topic comes. We will be discussing the real time use cases as well for everything.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one more question, please. Actually, that is it available readily in HANA FEB also without additional license?
See, it is available, but you cannot straightforward use. You need to activate the business function. So what business functions, how to activate those things, we will discuss in the next session. I'll show you that in the system. But again, that is not MDG consultant responsibility. That is the basis responsibility. So basis has to activate those business functions, but I will show you where to go and check.
Yeah, so in when we have FEB, we don't want to buy license for that, correct?
There is no separate license required, but see how SAP takes this one is they don't charge for your license when you are, if you are using a S4 system, right? So they don't charge for your MDG component, but they charge based on the how much master data you have in your system. Like the charges will be like let's say in your Mara table, if you have 10 lakhs of materials, there will be one set of charges. If you have some 100 lakhs or 10 millions of records, it will be different. So now SAP changed their approach and they will be start charging based on your the number of records or master data that you are governing using this MDG layer. Even if you are creating your custom models as well, SAP's charges for that one. Though the functionality is available, I create my custom master like plant or anything, right? So SAP again charges for that one. Because you are using their framework, so they will be charging. Maintenance charges will be there.
So the material means that is the article number, it will be counted, or all the variants also it will be taken into account.
Basically, they will be considering it the material level.
Material.
The number of objects, number of master data. Okay, no matter how the customer is extended to how many sales arcs, if you ignore that, how many customers you have in the system.
Okay, understood.
Akshay, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
being MDG consultant, like MDG consultants also get involved in this data design topics. Like if you know that, right? What is like how data design, like if let's say we have business partner, then how name one or name fields are going to manage
Yeah,
it,
yep, yep,
right?
yep.
So
Yes,
it's a
yes.
part of MDG or it will be like
Yes, it's a part
process
of
team.
MD. No,
Okay.
it's a part of your MDG because the name one, name two, that is your master data attributes, customer attributes or vendor attributes or business attributes. Whatever comes as part of your master data attribution, we should be part of that discussion. At least the functional should be part of the discussion.
So in that case, if let's say, so in that case, MDG within MDG there is also a segregation, right? That consultant will only be part of those
Yes.
objects.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you will have a different, the same consultant, maybe see the MDG consultant might be same for all this, but along with that one, you also should have consultant or SD consultant or FI consultant. So likewise, you will have a different consultants with whom you will be working, the MDG consultant.
Okay. So it means that let's say if we have material master, then whoever is the MDG consultant,
Hmm.
he also should know that okay, what how entire material master works. Like it's every fields, is it?
It's a
Like
good to know. It's actually, it's a
good to
good
know.
to
Okay.
know. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thanks, Akshay.
Okay. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, I see. Good interactive session. Thanks for all those great questions and everything. I think most of them are very useful to everyone.